This is my rock bottom social anxiety story. Freshman year of college, I'm not doing well. I'm basically avoiding any socializing whatsoever unless it involves drinking, which, by the way, terrible idea. If you have social anxiety, don't drink. I'm skipping my classes because at this point, once I would skip one class, my fear of going to the class would triple because now I'm worried, what are people going to think? I wasn't here the last time. Is my professor going to be pissed at me? All this stuff. So most of my classes I'm skipping. This is in 2008, so there was most of the homework you still had to submit in person, but there were some classes you could submit it online. So anyway, I had this one class in particular. I'm skipping all the classes. The only class we actually definitely had to show up for was the last class. We have a final. I show up to the final. Now I've done all the homework, but I haven't handed it in yet. I was going to hand it in at the end of that class. So I sit down to take this final exam, and this professor is just grilling the fuck out of me. Like, he is just eyeing me up and down, and I'm like, am I being paranoid? Like, I know I didn't show up to any of my classes, but I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. So I get through the test. I get to the front. I'm one of the last people to finish the test. So at this point, the class is pretty much over, and everybody's at the front of the desk, and everybody's kind of talking to the professor, saying their goodbyes, whatever. And then I take all my assignments, all my homework, and I put it on the professor's desk, and I just try to escape. I just try to duck out and run away. And this dude stopped everyone from talking. Everyone was trying to talk to him. He stopped everyone. He looks directly at me, and he goes, "Who the fuck do you think you are? You haven't been to a single one of my classes all year, and you think you can just show up and drop off your assignments?" This was by far, when we talk about worst case scenarios with social anxiety, this was the worst case scenario come true. Most worst case scenarios don't come true. This one came true. Dude, I was shitting my fucking pants. I'm just sitting there, just frozen. I didn't know what to say. I didn't say anything. I just handed off my papers, and then I walked away. About 2 weeks later, I get an email from the professor. And the title of the email is "Sorry." And he writes this email, and he's apologizing for how he acts, which I was actually surprised by. But then he writes at the bottom, he goes, "You actually had really good work. You had some of the best work in class. I would have given you an A, but because you didn't come to any of my classes, I got to give you a C." And that whole experience for me, see, I lived most of my life kind of getting away with being socially anxious. I avoided getting my driver's license till I was like 21. I avoided doing a lot of things until I absolutely had to. But that experience, that made me realize I got to do something. I can't keep living like this. And sometimes we don't necessarily have that rock bottom moment that we need, that kick in the pants, because sometimes we can float by with our social anxiety. We can get through life and we can manage it okay because nothing catastrophic happens. Now, was that completely catastrophic? No, but my grades that semester were terrible. I was on the verge of losing my scholarship because I just wasn't showing up to class, right? And I actually did better in his class than most of the other ones. A lot of the other professors gave me worse grades just for not showing up. So just a little story about what social anxiety can do, how bad it can get. And if you're struggling with social anxiety, you got to take action. And just remember that no matter how bad your social anxiety is, you can improve. Okay, I am living proof of this. This wasn't that long ago. Okay, and now I can make videos online and I have zero fear. I hope this video encourages somebody out there to realize that no matter how bad it is right now, there are things you can do. It can get better. Don't wait for that rock bottom moment, though. Start taking steps now.